Hello guys, today we're going to take another look at the Subaru, and I think what we'll try and do today is add some headlights, some indicators, some brake lights, maybe some spotlights here. So they're pretty much going to be all these, I think they're 1.8mm LEDs. I'll probably just drill some holes through the lights and mount them on the front. And there's a couple of spaces here, well they look like they were blanks on the rally car, but we'll put some of these 5mm LEDs in there. I think they should look pretty good. This should be a fairly simple build, because you can see here we have loads of space on this body shell, between the body shell and the kind of main piece of the RC model there. So there's loads of space for the wires there, loads of space for resistors, and it's the same down at the back. It's a little bit tighter, but there's still plenty of space there. And the wiring should be pretty simple, because the PCB that we put in this in the previous episode is pretty much just wired to have the control of the LEDs, and the code is already set up that way, so it should be fairly straightforward. Okay, so I'm going to start with the headlights. I think I'll put 6 of these little LEDs along the headlight shape there, and I think what I'll do, instead of making them their absolute maximum brightness, I'm going to limit the current of the entire string to probably 10 to 20 milliamps, and that way they won't be too bright. They'll be pretty bright because they're quite directive lights, but they won't be ridiculous, because I don't want the little car to have more light spread out than some of the big tractors. So I'm going to limit the current. That'll mean that I don't have to add a transistor. I can just wire it directly to the PCB, and that makes things a lot simpler for us. So first thing I'm going to do is take the body shell off, drill some holes, and I'll get these 6 white, super bright white LEDs mounted in the front here. Okay, so now I have all the little holes drilled for the legs of the LEDs, so they're just going to sit in like that. I drill the legs through the plastic like this and put the LEDs on the outside, because it leaves the wiring a lot easier then, because when you bend the legs it holds the LEDs in place. It's a lot easier than if you just drill the hole for the LED to go through, but obviously if you drill the hole for the LED to go through, it'll look a lot tidier, but that's just the way I prefer to do it. So these ones I'm going to put in here. They'll kind of be strengthened when the legs bend over, and then this one will the ground leg of this larger LED will be soldered to the other ones that are more sturdily mounted in there, and that will in turn hold in that LED. So you can see I'm going to put 3 white LEDs, 1 orange LED on each side there, and on the back I have 2 tail LEDs and a reversing LED, although don't have any code for that, and indicators. So pretty much everything except the reversing LED should work as soon as I've wired it up. It should be pretty straightforward. So the next thing to do is to solder all my LEDs in position. Okay, so here's the headlights in place. I have a 3.7 volt battery, and I think it's a 470 ohm resistor, and we can see that they are working perfectly fine. So I'll probably get a smaller resistor for that, and I'd imagine the current's quite low with that 470 ohm resistor, so probably get a smaller resistor, put the current up a bit so it'll be a little bit brighter, but that's the start. So next I think I'll add these spotlights. Okay, so here's the spotlights wired in. I didn't show you the last time, but I have all the grounds of the headlight LEDs wired together, all the positives wired together, and I wired the grounds from the spotlights to the grounds of the headlights, and that gives the spotlights here a little bit of stability, because like I said, the legs of the headlights are coming through the little holes, getting bent over, and that gives them a little bit of strength. So now the spotlights soldered to these stronger headlight legs are pretty stable themselves, and I just connected them in series. So when it comes to wiring it to the model, I'll have a ground wire going to the model, and then a resistor from the spotlight positive and a resistor from the headlight positive, both of which will limit the current pretty low. So I'll show you the spotlights working here just with the 470 ohm resistor. So it's pretty low resistance, and they'll be pretty bright, or it's pretty high resistance, which means they'll be pretty low current, which means the spotlights will be pretty dim actually. So I'll probably up the or well, reduce the resistance when I'm actually finishing the model to get a brighter spotlight, but it'll be under 20 milliamps anyway. And I just use these 470 ohm resistors because I'm pretty sure they're all going to be limiting the current on all of these LEDs pretty ideally for this testing, so that's why I always use the 470 ohm resistors. So you can see both of them are working there, so the wiring is good. So next thing to do is add the indicators on the front, and I'll probably do that and the tail lights and reversing lights and indicators on the back all in one go. Okay, I've added the tail lights and the reversing lights and the indicators to the back of the model now, so I'll just show you some of them lit up. There's the tail lights. I'll probably leave them with a 470 ohm resistor, same as this, so that's probably as bright as they'll get. And the same with the reversing lights, that's probably as bright as they're going to get. The indicators, I obviously have to wire the left indicator on the back to the left indicator on the front, so I'll have to run a few wires up the side of that and connect a resistor in there, but that's not too big of a job. So next thing to do is add in the few resistors that we need, and then we can just connect it up to the model. Okay, so here we are with all the wires added in. We have our resistors added in as well. See them, they're under the heat shrink there. So the headlights and the spotlights, they're 100 ohm resistors, and everything else is 470 ohm resistors. Then I put in a little bit of well, a failed print from a 3D printer print. I just put a little hole in the middle of it, and I'm using that piece just to hold the wires to the cab there. And then the wires are all coming back here and just being held in this bit of heat shrink. So hopefully I'll be able to hinge around this point to take this shell off, and I'll just solder those wires in there and hopefully it'll all work. Could be a little bit tricky, but we'll give it a go. Okay, so here's the car all wired up now. As you can see, the hazard lights are flashing. I have that in the code in all the models because it reminds me that I haven't switched the model off. So at the minute we're not connected to the model, so the hazard lights are on. That way if I put them into a crate or something at a show, I don't accidentally leave them switched on and run the batteries down too low. So that's the hazard lights. If I hit the connection now on the controller, we're now connected and the hazard lights go off. But of course we have control of the indicators, so there's our left indicator, our right indicator, and we can put on our headlights and our spotlights. See them down there. So that's pretty cool. I'll just turn those off so I can show you the reversing lights. So if I start the wheels reversing, maybe I'll show you that. So our reversing lights come on when the car goes into reverse. And if we put the headlights on, our tail lights come on as well. So that's all the lights on the model. It might not be very clear there, but they are red lights on the back. A little bit hard to see like that. And we can put our hazard lights on as well if we want them. So that is the whole model. I think it'll turn out pretty well. The lights on the front look really good, I think. I'd say it'll be a pretty cool model, driving around the scenery in the dark. And I can slow down the gears with the controller, same as all the other models. Make it a little bit easier to drive, because it is pretty quick even when you're trying to go slow. As soon as the motor takes off, just because of the nature of the gearbox, it wants to go pretty quickly, pretty fast. So I think I'd probably normally drive this in low first or L1 on the controller for anyone using the bigger controller. I'd probably drive it in that and make it a little bit easier. Otherwise it's just, you're just all the time going to be trying to limit with the joystick. It's a lot easier if you just limit the speed with the code. So that's our rally car up and running. I hope you liked that video. If you did, be sure and hit the like button, and if you have any comments or suggestions, let me know below the video. And that's pretty much everything. So as always, thanks very much for watching.